Hello, everyone.
Hi guys. All right. Hey everybody.
Hey, I'm Kathleen Dominiak Treasure, aka Miss DT with HAPA, and I teach dance in HAPA. And today we have a wonderful guest artist chatting with us, Nathaniel Dolquist. Welcome, Nathaniel.
Hi guys. So nice to see all of you. I'm so glad you're here. I hope this will be a lot of fun.
We are so excited you're here. These HAPA sessions have been awesome to learn from artists in the real world doing so many great things, and we can't wait to hear about you.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm just gonna read a little bit of your bio. Nathaniel is an AEA member and New York City-based performer with representation in New York City, LA, Denver, Mexico, and the UK. He graduated from Yale University with a degree in theater studies and performed 550 a cappella concerts while a student there. He's traveled to over 50 countries as a performer and speaks Spanish, French, Italian, and some German. Wow. His recent roles include the MC in Cabaret, Glenn Guia in The Wedding Singer, and Sky in Mamma Mia. When COVID hit, he was working as a singer on a cruise ship, and was stranded at sea for 2 months. Wow, we're going to talk a little bit about that.
Oh yeah.
Off-Broadway credits include Wonderland, the Broadway and Ballet Hero Awards, and Dido and Aeneas. I love that. Oh, I love that. With Kelly O'Hara and Victoria Clark. He has taught musical theater, Shakespeare, and screen acting in multiple states and received acclaim for his workshop Strut, the art of literally just walking, at the Colorado High School Thespian Convention. He loves sweet potatoes, so do I. They're delicious.
Oh yeah.
And has a 7-month-old beagle named Elfie. Oh,
that's true. He's sleeping somewhere, or I'd show him to you, but he's around here somewhere.
Yeah, that's like me with my kittens. I love every animal. I tell kids I just love every animal all the time. I love beagles too. They're so sweet and cute. Oh, yeah. Well, Nathaniel, tell us maybe a little bit more about yourself that wasn't in the bio and what you're doing currently in theater, film, and TV.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, everybody. I'm so glad to be here and so glad to see all of you guys. And thank you for taking some time to tune into this, because when I was in high school, one of the things that I wish I'd had more of and that was really important to me is people who are actually in the industry coming to talk about what it's like and how to segue from being a teenager, being in high school and studying performing arts to actually doing it for a living and actually, making money doing it, which is not just possible, but something that you can absolutely do. So we can talk about that if you want to. I would totally encourage you to type any comments you guys want in. We've got some folks who are gonna not proctor those. What's the word I'm looking for? Just kind of screen through them and bring some up. Yeah. I don't know. I teach test prep as a way to pay my bills. So if you guys are prepping for the SAT, ACT, that's me. I'm the person who helps you with that. So all those SAT, ACT things are always floating around in my brain. But please ask me any questions that you guys want to know, because the most valuable thing I can do is answer your actual questions. And there's nothing that's that's dumb or stupid. Absolutely not. I would love any questions you guys have. Would love to answer them. So great. If you're tinkering around on your phone, you can look at my Instagram, which is @Dolquist, DOLQUIST, and kind of check out some things there, because I've got a couple things up. And if you Google me or put me into YouTube, you'll see a bunch of my performing stuff from the cruise ship and also from my TV and film reels. So as you guys know, it's a pretty insane time to be a performer because it's mostly shut down. So I was, January of last year, I got on a plane to Hamburg, Germany, and I learned, what did I learn? I learned 5 45-minute shows in 5 weeks. No, 4 weeks, and had them all memorized, totally all the blocking down, everything ready to go from scratch, big solos, all of that stuff. 5 45-minute shows in 5 weeks, which is a full-time job. So that's going to music rehearsal at 8 o'clock in the morning, going until 4 hours of music rehearsal and being done at 12. Which is it's like being in choir. It's literally like having choir from 8 to 12 and doing that. And you break for lunch, and then you go to choreo rehearsal from 1 to 6, with a break for dinner in there, and then you go like try and memorize your stuff and like pass out because you're so tired.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But that's when you're a professional performer, that's what you do. Oh, thanks for putting the website up there. That's me. That's me. There's when you're a professional performer, that's what you do. Instead of going to school, instead of waking up and going to class, you wake up and you go to rehearsal, and it's great. It's exactly as great as you might think that it's going to be. And that's why I really encourage people who think that's what they want to do to make it happen. So if you're in a Broadway show, or a big show in Chicago or Denver, LA, wherever, that's theater. That's what you do. You wake up, you go to work. It is work. It's huge, lots of work. You go to work in the morning with all your friends, you learn how to sing and dance the show, and then you work on it. And it's really a blast. So I was there in Hamburg in Germany for 2 months. And on March 5th, we flew to the Dominican Republic and got on the cruise ship. And 2 weeks later, everybody was gone.
Oh my God.
So they got rid of all the passengers. They sent them all home. And we were thinking COVID wouldn't last so long. So we kind of hung out. And then instead of singing and dancing, we flushed a lot of toilets and went through and made sure the bathrooms were all working, because that was our job. But here's the deal, guys. Like, you can choose to have a good attitude about things like that, or you can choose to have a bad attitude about things like that. And some people had good attitudes and some people had bad attitudes.
I bet. Now, when you're a performer, though, on the cruise ship, do they give you other jobs, like when you're not performing?
Not for this cruise line. So
Okay.
I was on AIDA Cruise Lines, which is a branch of Carnival. So that was all we did. We just were performers. But on other cruise ships, I think Disney has something like this. You just have other responsibilities. You have other things you have to do. But no, we were just performers.
Wow.
And it was so wild, because I had never before worked on a stage that was built for only one thing. Because like when you load in a show into a real theater, that theater has seen 100 other shows before you. But these cruise ship stages are designed for these specific cruise ship shows. So it was a ring, and you go up, it had an elevator. So the floor would move up and down and like make all these steps. If you watch the videos, you can see it in action. It was terrifying, because sometimes the floor is covered in haze. So you like can't see where you're walking, and you're like, I hope I don't die today. And then like the elevator can go up and down, and our circus performers could come in from the 3rd story. So like you're on the ground, and then like 2 or 3 stories above you, these people like come down from the ceiling. It was epic. It was so fun. The shows were a blast. We just didn't get to do them for very long.
Oh yeah. I'm sure. So like even the wings, like how much wing space is there, and dressing rooms?
There's not a ton on a ship. Everything that's not for the passengers is very compact. So there's like, you guys probably have more room in your high school dressing room than we did back there. It was like, and so, but like when you're working on a cruise ship, you do your shows. I don't know if it will be like this anymore, because we'll see, but you do your shows, you can get off the ship sometimes, and then you just work out and stay in shape, because it's literally your job to be in good shape so you can sing and dance and fit into your costumes. Oh, I'm sure. A very good friend of mine who was on the Jersey Boys national tour. And this, for all you dancers out there, I know you know what this is like, because this is the reality of the world. This is like how it works. He put on some weight during tour, and he barely fit into the costume, and the stage manager came up to him and said, "You got to lose weight."
Wow.
Which first of all is brutal. That's like a brutal thing to say to someone. But those costumes can cost thousands of dollars. Like, have you ever looked really closely at like the Glinda and Elphaba costumes in Wicked? Like, those things are incredible. They're so beautiful, and they take so much work. And if you've ever been to the Garment District of New York or into these big costume shops, you'll see that you're the actor, the dancer, the director, the stage manager, whatever. But there is a whole fleet of people who work to make all of those other things possible. Like,
you know what? The Today Show for Halloween, they always dress up and do some kind of shtick. But they actually wore, the host, Broadway costumes and Wicked costumes they were wearing, and did a close up. The detailing was just amazing, and they were talking about it.
Yeah.
Is there a seamstress / costume designer that travels with cruise ships?
Actually, yes. So they would basically, we had a costume fitting in like early January. So I got there in January, and then like 2 weeks later, we had this costume fitting, and then they have a whole building. The costume department is a whole building, and they took our measurements, and they took costumes that they already had, and they altered them to fit all of us. And because people come back on those contracts a lot, they actually store your costumes. So actually, I think all of mine are still on the ship, though. I don't think they ever took them off the ship. They're still there. And then the costume designers go on the ship with you for about 2 weeks, because your shape has, like, everybody changes a little bit in 2 months. You get bigger, you get smaller, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they make sure that everything fits well, that it looks good under the lights and whatever. But this is the thing about professional casting. So I've been in for Book of Mormon and Wicked and Frozen and all of this stuff. And they have these seemingly bizarre height requirements, right? It's like, why does this need to why do you need to be over like 5'11" to be Fiyero in Wicked?
Wow.
And the reason is because the pants are a certain length, right? And they don't want to pay a couple $1,000s every time to have the costumes redone. So a lot of times, and this has happened to me several times before, where like I'm in the room, and right at the very end, and they pick somebody else because he's 2 inches shorter than me or an inch taller than me. I'm 6'3", so there aren't very many people who are taller than me. They and because they fit the costume, or because they cast a girl who is really short and I'm too tall. So if I'm playing her love interest, like I'm literally just 2 inches too tall, like I look like a giant human next to her, which is true. I'm a giant human, but so it depends. And that's one of the things that totally sucks about performing.
Yeah, that's the reality. You know, it doesn't even matter your talent. It matters the physical appearance. Yeah. And what they're looking for. You could do everything right, and well, you're an inch too short or too tall.
Yeah, it happens all the time. Or like, for example, like if you want to play Hermia in Midsummer Night's Dream, you got to be short, because she's got jokes about it. And so one of the amazing new trends that I'm just so thrilled to pieces about is that we're really breaking gender binaries in casting. And so like that is changing. It's so exciting. It's just like so great. Like it's incredible. So my friend Alex Newell, for example, has played a couple of different roles on Broadway and on TV on Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. And like one of the great things is that you can like he can do whatever, because they make roles because it's so great to watch him, because he's just amazing. So
you do a lot of work in theater, film, TV. I mean, is there in Broadway, cruise ship? So I mean, the difference, like film and TV, for instance, being an actor, what would be a difference there?
Oh, great question. So this is the absolute best example of this I've ever heard. So there's Denzel Washington played this role in this show called Fences, and it's a beautiful play. And it has a stage and a screen adaptation. And he played the role both on Broadway and in the movie. And the monologue is the same. The monologue is the same. And but there's a huge difference between, like, right now I'm on a screen. And so if I talk like this, you can still hear what I'm saying. But if I talk like this on stage, everybody would be like, what did you say? Like, you just can't, you won't be able to hear. You won't be able to hear anything. So and so the monologue is the same, even the beats are the same, but there's a huge difference in the way you're using your instrument, because Denzel's using his diaphragm to project all the way back to the back of the house in theater. And it's a totally different game. So it can be exactly the same material, but you have to be really conscious of what platform you're on, because when I'm this close to the camera, right, you can see every tiny thing that my face is doing. But if I'm this far away, or if I'm this big, because you're sitting in the nosebleeds at Moulin Rouge, it's a different thing, right?
And so how did you learn about these different techniques for film, theater, TV? Because I know a lot of our students want to learn more about film, or they want to learn more about TV, or they may want to just do Broadway. But what would your advice to an actor be for being adaptable to all of these venues?
What a great question. You got to practice. You got to practice. So here's the thing about being an artist, you guys. It is really easy to see how often sports people practice, how often basketball players practice, how often Olympians practice. But Broadway and like being a series regular on a TV show, somebody who shows up every week, that is the Olympics. Okay. And it's your technique and your discipline in your art form is absolutely on par with what those athletes are putting into their performances, if you will. And so like, you do have to, if you decide that this is something you want to do, you're gonna learn all of this stuff just by being in it, by experience. So like if you are self-taping for a TV show and you're projecting like they need to hear you in the back of the house, you're gonna watch that tape back and be like, oh my God, which trust me, I have done for myself. I was like, I literally can't handle this. Like I must redo this thing. It's horrible.
Oh, I love it. And you know, it sounds like you don't close yourself off to opportunities. I will only stay in Broadway. You've opened yourself to all of these different venues, which I think is awesome. And to be a lifelong learner is so important, I think, as an artist. What do you keep doing, even being out in the field? What do you keep doing as a lifelong learner, as an artist?
Oh, what a great question. So when I was on the ship, I loved what those circus guys were doing. I was like, they are so ripped. They're so strong. I have this dream that, so one of the things that they do on the cruise ship is called aerial straps. And it's literally like if you hang 2 seatbelts from the ceiling with like loops for your hands, and they just like do all kinds of crazy things on there. And I have this dream that some theater is going to do Tarzan, and I'm going to be able to walk in and be able to not just nail that B flat that's in the song and like be able to sing Strangers Like Me, but to be able to do it hanging upside down from the ceiling. Which is something that came to my mind when I saw that revival of Pippin. All of a sudden there are people like hanging from the ceiling and singing, and I'm like, you can do both of those things at the same time. Amazing. So that's and I love that. It's so fun because the more skills you add, the more versatile you are. And here's the thing about booking a lot of acting work. They don't care if you're any good at it. They just need, if you're in a commercial. Like my friend, oh my God, this is a great story. So my friend was a ballet dancer with the National Ballet of Canada. And she's beautiful. She teaches in Ohio now. She's an absolutely stunning ballet dancer. And they needed somebody to be on point for this Oreo commercial. And she got paid like $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 to bourrée across a table in front of a plate of Oreos.
Oh my God.
And so but you know what? She didn't have to be a National Ballet of Canada dancer to do that. Like they could have they picked her because she's amazing, but they could have picked anybody all they needed somebody to do was just bourrée across the table. And so that's what she did. And then she got paid a lot.
A lot. Oh my God, for probably such short amount of time to do that. That's awesome. You know, and that's a story of keep yourself open to any opportunity, because you never know if they're going to really pick you, even if you think. It's called meeting halfway, meet halfway the people that will cast you. Movement. So since I teach dance for an actor, what would you suggest to actors, and even from a dance perspective, maybe reversing to dancers having acting, movement and acting in both? What would you recommend with training?
Well, what a great question. So here's the thing. I didn't start ballet till I was 24. I'm 29 now, and I started taking ballet when I was 24. And then I took, oh my God, don't do this. I took 14 classes a week for like a year. Don't do that. Do not recommend. That's not a safe or fun way to learn ballet. Keep it a little easier than that. But I loved it. I started doing ballet because it made me feel great in my body. I loved doing it. It was like I have pointy feet and natural turnout, so like that was really fun and got me a lot of haters, which is fine. They can hate all they want. My Polish ballet teacher would always say, "You point those feet, or I cut them off. Give them to someone else."
Oh, like, there you go.
It was really hilarious. But my voice teacher, Vicky, who won a Tony Award for Light in the Piazza, came to see me as Sky in Mamma Mia. And she saw me afterward and she couldn't stop laughing. I was like, Vicky, what is so freaking funny? And she goes, you just are really tall and have a lot of dance training. You hold yourself so differently from everyone else. And I have a teacher of the Alexander technique whose name is Barrett Arkaya. And her other students, like, this is insane. But she is the Alexander teacher for all of these famous people, like Bernadette Peters and Sigourney Weaver and Victor Garber. All of these people go to her. And what she taught me is that the way that you carry yourself, which is a huge part of dance, translates immediately into all of your acting and screen stuff, because people really, they notice that. And what she taught me is that, we could all walk around like the Queen of England. We could. But we choose not to, because we're telling somebody something about ourselves based on how we move. And so if you're in a play and you're an actor and you come on like the Queen of England from off stage, that tells the audience something about who you are, your character. But if you come out and you're all hunched over, like, if you're doing that, that tells them something else. You don't even have to open your mouth. They'll know things about you. And part of the challenge, but also the real depth of mastery in the performing arts of any kind, is being able to know what you're doing in order to, like, do that consciously instead of by accident,
Oh, yes, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And, I think dancer, it's a given, but as an actor, you have to do some movement with your body other than just go rehearse and do the movement there. You have to, like, do you do training on the side? Like, what do you do, like, for a workout, or do you have an actor's workout?
My training is almost endless. I'm training all the time, because honestly, there's this Einstein quote, I think it was Einstein, where your pattern of thinking has gotten you to where you are. Your pattern of thinking has gotten you to where you are, but it can't take you to the next place. You have to change your thinking to get to the next place. And so I'm always looking to challenge myself, because I know that if I had everything, I would have already played all the leads on Broadway and already been in every TV show. And so I know that I haven't, and it's not like I'm putting myself down. It's just like, I got to keep going, because I got to keep learning and getting better and better, so that when the time comes and I'm finally in front of a casting director who wants to put me in a, Charmed or a TV show of some kind, or wants to cast me in Wicked or Book of Mormon or Hadestown or whatever, that I'm ready to go, and that I'm not
ready to go.
panicked.
Absolutely.
And so I actually just said this to some of my old, I taught at my old high school last week on Zoom. And what I said to those kids was, if you know what your dream role is and you're perfect for that role, you have no excuse for not knowing the material. If you want to play Glinda or Elphaba in Wicked, I don't need you slinking around backstage pretending you don't know how to sing Defying Gravity. I can't have that. If you want to play Jenna in Waitress, I can't have you be, I can't sing any of her songs. Like, I'm not ready, whatever. That's bullshit. I'm over that. You need to learn it. I need you to have it memorized. I need you to know how you sing it and how you perform it, and be super ready to go, because you never know when the phone's going to ring and you're going to get it.
I think you're that well said, because you never know when the phone's going to ring.
Yeah.
You have to do your research and you have to be prepared. It's not that you take one step and, okay, I'm done. Sometimes in audition, it requires several steps in order to nail it, or even a rehearsal. You have to come prepared to do the work. It just doesn't come to you, like driving through McDonald's. I want a number one. Here you go. Sometimes it takes such hard work, and that's how we learn too, through that. I have you speak several languages.
I do.
Which is amazing. What's the benefit as a performer to know another language? Oh
my God, they're endless. So first of all, I started learning Italian and French because I wanted to sing opera, which I quickly discovered was not for me. And that's fine. That's fine. Nobody has to do everything. Opera is just like not super my game. It's a whole other world. It's a little bit like ballet. It's very esoteric and like, it's amazing, and I love it, and I love going, but I'm like, I'm gonna let you guys be amazing at that, and I'm gonna go do something else. But I learned Spanish in high school, And because I grew up in Colorado and I wanted to be able to communicate with my friends' parents because a lot of them only spoke Spanish, and I would go over to my friends' houses and they'd speak Spanish and weren't very comfortable with English. So I was like, well, then I should learn to speak Spanish so that we can talk. And I took the AP classes, and I worked really hard on it, but I just loved the language. And I also am a nerd, big nerd, you guys, huge nerd. I'm a huge nerd. I'll claim it. It's me. It's fine. And I wanted to be able to read stuff in Spanish. And now, get this. So now I learned Spanish, right? I learned French in high school, not very well. Spanish is definitely my best. And I lived in Italy for a while, and Italian and Spanish are the same language in different accents, basically. And all the grammatical rules are the same in Spanish, French, and Italian. So don't think it's that impressive, because all the rules are the same. The subjunctive is the subjunctive, no matter what language you're speaking.
Yeah.
German is different, and I'm not as good at German. Like that I can barely understand and speak a little bit of, but like enough, right? Enough that if I got a commercial and they needed somebody who speaks German, I could speak the German, and I have the accent. I've also played the MC in Cabaret twice now, and I have played Ernst Ludwig, who's the other character, one of the other characters. He is the Nazi, spoiler alert, in the Cabaret. So I have learned that as well. But that's a thing that you need to be able to do, because if they ask you to do, this is like the alphabet thing I just said. If you have a British accent, you better believe that you're gonna have a little monologue that's this long, and you're gonna be in an audition, and then the casting director is gonna say, "Can you just do that in a British accent?" And I need you to not panic. I need you to just do it, and then you can book the role and get paid thousands of dollars and love your life. So, but this is the crazy story. So. My agency that I was with actually went under during COVID, and it was really sad because they're really wonderful people, but the agents all went to a larger agency. And it turns out that this dude who runs this agency called Creative Artists, which I'm in now, they submit people for work in Mexico. And I'm like, I am a white guy who speaks Spanish. Like there has got to be a role for a 6'3" blonde white guy who speaks Spanish. I promise there is. So one of the things that I need to get on my get together for myself is here's the thing, you guys. We live in a digital age. So if you don't have it on film, nobody believes you can do it. So if you are the most amazing ballet dancer in the world and I don't have footage of you doing your very best variation, it doesn't exist. And I hate to say that because it sucks. But in this self-tape world that we're in now, and the people watching things on YouTube, it's you got to have it on tape, and it's got to be good. It's got to be good quality. I got to be able to hear it well. You have to be well lit, and I have to know it's you. You know, you don't want to like send your tape to somebody and they're like, which one is it? These two dudes look exactly the same.
Oh yeah.
Who am I casting? That's a bummer. So I need to record. So I have a meeting set up with this guy. We're going to talk about Spanish soap operas, and I'm going to say, what do you know is marketable for me to put on tape so that I can get cast in Mexico? So, because why not? The reason why, you said this earlier, that I do a lot of things. The reason why is because the more pots you have your thumb in, the more chances you have to get paid. And you got to be able to pay the rent. You know what I mean? You got to be able to eat. I have to pay for food for my dog. You got to keep the lights on and the Wi-Fi. So the more things that you can do, I was just talking to Vicky about this a couple weeks ago, where I was like, you have to do everything now. You got to have your film and TV stuff and your theater stuff, or you're never going to make any money. And she said, true. Because when she was coming up in the world, she was just a singer. She was a singer director. And she was at NYU and got cast in Sunday in the Park with George while she was getting her master's degree. And then that was it. And then she was on Broadway. But now, if you can get, like, Carly Rae Jepsen played Cinderella, right?
Right.
And that's because she's a pop star. So if you're a pop star, and I mean, like, don't like become a pop star as a way to get on Broadway. That probably won't work for you, but good luck. Please try. But, you know, like, good old Carly Rae got her Broadway, like, dream checked off the bucket list because she was already a pop star. So it's all connected now. So just do what you love, and the thing that really makes you happy, and put it on tape and put it on the internet. that's
and know how to put it on the internet, right? With lighting and cameras, and we're all learning that lesson. You know, I want you to talk a little bit about being a student at Yale.
Oh, yes.
And you're, the whole process of being trained as an artist there.
Oh man.
Courses, experiences.
Yeah, it was really something. So I knew that I wanted to go there for theater, and I went. And I will point out that there's sort of two different Yale theater programs. That I went to the undergraduate one. The Yale School of Drama, which is the Meryl Streep one, is the graduate school. So like, is that distinction important? Like, not to most people, but for people at Yale, they're like, which one did you do exactly? I took a lot of Shakespeare.
Mm-hmm.
I took a lot of, I took some musical theater history classes. I will say that the thing that Yale has that a lot of other schools don't have is just access and money. So like, I took a class on Sondheim, and the final project was we went to meet Sondheim. Like we just went to New York and had a conversation with him, and I like freaked out. I did not ask him to sign my libretto of Into the Woods. I kept it in my backpack because my professor said to me, Nathaniel, or he did not say it specifically to me. He said to the whole class, but he was like, we're going to go meet someone who's one of the most famous musical theater people in history ever. And you're not allowed to fawn. You're not allowed to freak out, because he's not your idol, your hero anymore. He's your coworker. And he's just the writer. He wrote the stuff that you like to sing. And you never know, because you could collaborate with him one day. And the last thing you want is to get cast in Sondheim's, like the show he writes for his 100th birthday. He's ancient now, man. And to have, you were that kid who like freaked out. You don't want that. So it was really amazing to have access to such intelligent people. But what I will say is that my favorite thing about Yale was not being made fun of for loving theater anymore. So when I was in high school, I was it bullying? Yes, it was. I was bullied mercilessly for many things, but one of them was that I really loved theater. And like even my English teachers would be like, you love theater so much. Like, why don't you get a real job? I'm like, so when I got to Yale, I found all of these people who were like, yeah, this is a perfectly valid thing for you to do with your life, and a perfectly valid thing for you to study. Go for it. Here's tools and resources. And I literally filled out the best thing about Yale theater, in my opinion, as an undergrad, is that because they have money, you can fill out a piece of paper and they'll give you like $1,400 to $1,600 to do any show you want.
Wow.
And so I did 16 shows in 4 years.
Wow.
I was either in them or directing them or somehow involved. And that was amazing because I got to see how theater is made. So I really I did some film work at NYU once with some students. And one of the things I loved about that program was that they make all the students do every job. You're the actor, you run the camera, you direct, you sit and do sound, you do all those things. And no, if you don't want to do sound, you don't have to do sound for your whole life. If you don't want to run the camera, if you don't want to be an actor, you don't have to do that for your whole life. But you should know what it feels like. And you should have some empathy for the other people across the room, because when you do that, you become a better collaborator. And and that's what people love. And that's what, you do a project, everybody loves you because you're so amazing at collaborating and you're so nice to everyone that they hire you back without having you audition.
Well, there you go. See? And that collaboration, and we all know, but I can imagine, especially now, is huge. And having empathy for what the lighting folks do, and the sound, and even the prop masters, people that have to stage man. I mean, and them too understand, it's them too understanding, okay, I'm going to take a vocal class, or I'm going to take an acting class. It's this whole collaborative thing. And just to say, oh, I just want to do the show and just do dance, that doesn't always happen. You work with, well, wait, let me ask this. What is your favorite audition story?
Oh, God. You guys, it will take you like less than a month in New York to have some horror story to tell all of your friends. Oh my God. I can't even pick. There was one, I was auditioning for Mamma Mia, you guys. It is the cotton candy of musicals. I love that show. I will hear no bad words against Mamma Mia. I was in the final 6 for Sky for the national tour, the last national tour before it was over, and they picked none of us. Rude. Rude. I was so mad. Because when you get through 9 rounds of callbacks with 5 other dudes, I was like the tall blonde guy. We had the black guy. We had like a super like tiny short little like muscly guy. We had like an Asian guy. It was like, we are all the flavors. We are the ice cream store of flavors. Like pick whichever one you want. I'm gonna be happy for any of these dudes because they're all so attractive. And I was like, let's do it. And they picked none of us, and we're all still friends. That was so great.
And
but
yeah, that's great, because I would imagine like do you get to know each other in that like last call, like last audition?
Yeah, you know,
each other?
everybody wants the one job, right? There's only one person that they're gonna cast as Sky in Mamma Mia on the tour. And like, yes, it's competitive, and yes, God, those rooms are full of energy. Like, bring crystals, you guys. Like, I don't care what you need. Bring your crystals. Bring like sage sticks. Just like, oh God, it's horrible. because there are a lot of really insecure people in those rooms, and they are doing their best to make everybody feel like shit. So you got to like put your guard up. You're just there to do your job. And so those first couple rounds are competition, but like, once you start going in for things of your type, like I know every single 6 foot and above white blonde guy in New York. There are only so many of us. And by the time you're there for 5 years, you've met them all and you're all friends. And you're like, oh, you got that role? Good for you. Like, we're the same person. Couldn't tell you why they picked you over me, but it's fine. Or me over you, as the case.
Yeah, right.
But I did have one time where I went to a dance call for Mamma Mia, and the director, I thought maybe he just had eye surgery or something. He's wearing these big old black sunglasses, right? But it turns out that no, that was just him. He was like a director from the 70s. And he's still in the 70s, bless him. And oh my God, it was like a 32 count dance call for Mamma Mia. And he gets up, the choreographer does his thing and looks a little sheepish. And then director dude, he like stands up and we're all like, what? The room is like 1,000,000 degrees because it's summer, and we're all like, oh God, it's horrible. And he's like, we're going to Uta Hagen every count of this dance call. And I'm like, first of all, Uta Hagen is an acting instructor. And I did all of her exercises in college. So what on God's green earth are you talking about? And he wanted to like, okay, so yes, every move you make in dance needs to be motivated. That's one of the things dancers can learn from actors is like, yes, you do need to have intention with what you're doing. But this is extreme, you guys. Like what is this bouret? What does it mean to you? I'm like, I can't with that. There was also one time, I should have played this differently. So I went into this call for Joseph, and there were only 3 of us. And this director, first of all, wound up getting in huge trouble for some rights violations. Andrew Lloyd Webber was not happy about it. But that was later. And he asked me to sing "Close Every Door" like a 5th higher, which is like girl range, and is like melting B's and C's, which like, first of all, why? Who wants to hear that? No one. And second of all, and then I sang it, and I was like, oh Lord. And then he said, he was like, no, I want you to sing it again, but I want it to sound like it hurts. Ew. Disgusting. Get out of here. No, nobody is ever allowed to tell you to hurt your instrument. Never. Absolutely zero. As Vicky likes to say to me, repeat after me, all of you at home, if it's good for my voice, it's good for my career. If it's good for my voice,
it's
good for my career. If it's bad for my voice, it's bad for my career. If it's bad for my voice, it's bad for my career. Don't ever let anybody tell you to hurt yourself. As a dancer, as a singer, that's horrifying. And that also, by the way, it was so terrible. That also, by the way, counts for things that involve intimacy. So you're never allowed, I personally will never allow you to do intimate things in scenes and auditions without consent, without somebody there to like be supervising, because it can get really tricky, you guys. Like, I know that you're all teenagers, but you're soon to be in this world of like people who are creepy. And you really got to stay on your toes about stuff like that, especially the girls, guys too, everybody.
Yeah.
Because it can be not very nice. And so you really got to make sure you know what your boundaries are. The other funny thing that happened to me once is that I showed up to a dance call and I expected there to be 30 people and it was just me. So I did dance call alone. So, and that can happen sometimes. So if you're afraid of dancing in the front, get over it, because sometimes you have to dance by yourself.
Yeah. And then it can't be by yourself. Have you ever turned down a role or a project?
I did turn down. I turned down Clopan in New Jersey Light Opera's Hunchback of Notre Dame because I got cast in a season for summer stock.
Okay.
Also, like, should Clopan be played by a white guy?
Yeah.
No. Was I the only person who could do a tour, like a tour in that dance call? Yes. Was I the only person who could sing it in their audition pool? Yes. But should Clopan be played by a white guy? Like, probably not.
Yeah. So your advice would be, think wisely if you're going to turn down an option.
Yeah, I would say if you are auditioning and you go through callbacks, you are indicating to that team that you will take the role, unless you get something else. And that's fine. So that's what your agent is for. That's when your agent says, okay, well, you see, he's got 3 months of work at this. And if you can pay him this much for your 2 weeks of work, we can talk about that. But if you're not going to pay him this much, then we can't talk about that, because he's making money over here and is going to do 8 other things. And that's fine. That's how the industry works. That's like means being in a bidding war. That's our dream. It's everyone's dream. Oh, who wants to pay me more money? Yeah. For all of you beautiful young souls who are thinking that I'm very mercenary and kind of disgusting for talking about money so much, I agreed with you when I was your age. I thought that it was horrible. But the reality of being an adult is that you have to pay off your student loan and pay the rent. Yeah. And honestly, I will tell you this. When I started caring about like how much I was getting paid for things, I chilled out a lot in my auditions, because I was like, this job doesn't pay that much. And then I started booking them. So because I wasn't freaked out, I need this job. Oh God, I need this job, over and over again. When you stop doing that, that's when you book work. Because and people get so offended when I say this, but the less you care, the more likely it is that you're going to book it. And Santino Fontana said that to me once. He was like, it's like you're delivering a package. You're like, this is what I got. Here you go. If you like it, send me the contract. If you don't like it, I have another place to be.
Yeah.
And I will say, from like a physiological and like dancer perspective, what that means is that your nervous system is less freaked out. And as all of you young tenors will know, when you get a little freaked out and you try and go high, your voice can close up and it does not feel or sound very good. And so when you're more relaxed and you're just chilling out, your instrument is open, you're present, and people love that. And those casting directors see 1 million people every day, so they can smell it a mile away if you're relaxed or if you're just like, I need this job.
Oh yeah. That's a good point too. I know we have a lot of student questions, but I have one more, because I know you've worked with teaching high school students. Sometimes we have to call them high school artists, because they're so creative and they're building and they're doing. What is your teaching philosophy for this age group when you teach them?
I feel very strongly that it is wrong to be upset with a student for something they don't know. So if I'm teaching you how to sing, if you can't do it, why on earth would I be upset with you? Because you just have never learned how to do it. That's like asking you to ride a bicycle and getting mad that you can't do it if you've never been taught. That's ridiculous. So I teach high schoolers every day, you guys. I teach Spanish, I teach English, history, math, test prep, all this stuff. That's how I pay the bills that let me pay for my $4,000 film reel, that kind of stuff. You got to have a day job to pay the rent, and there is no shame in that, let me tell you. But for teaching, I believe in making sure that every student knows that that there's nothing wrong with the thing that they love, and maybe that comes from being not straight. where there's a lot of shame around for many people around like, I love, you know, this person or this thing, and that's not okay. And that's wrong. It's okay to love the thing that you love. And actually only when you embrace the thing that you love the most will you actually be able to do it to your fullest extent. And so, you know, I wanted to be a doctor when I was a kid, and I resisted wanting to do theater. But when I finally was like, I don't want to be a doctor, I want to sing and dance on stage. That when I did that, that was when I could throw myself at it, and when I started to like be really happy.
Oh, that's such good advice. Like, we can never hear it enough, you know, I think at that age.
Yeah.
I have more questions, but I
Yes.
do want to give the students a chance to give them a shout out. So I'm going to introduce Sine George. She is a sophomore dance major, and she has a few questions for you. And she will, after, introduce Tamia with some of the comments, questions in the comments.
Nice.
So
what's up, Sine? How you doing?
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. Good to see you.
Good to see you. So I have a few questions. So the first one will be, what do you like to do in your free time?
Oh, what a great question. I play a lot of video games, you guys. A lot. Very enjoyable for me. I work out a lot. I take my dog for walks. I like to cook a lot of food. And, you know, usually I hang out with my friends, but like not during COVID. So, but I would say that that's a really important part of my life, is like having things that are not in the least related to performing that I can do to like really recharge and enjoy myself. So, you know, going out in nature is really wonderful and really important to me. Like thinking about like I do a lot of physical activities. I got into dance, yes, because I needed to like learn how to dance, but also because I loved it. And the time went so fast. Like it was really fun to be able to do that. So finding something that you love that's outside of what you're supposed to be doing is very important, I would say.
Okay, so next question is, what is your favorite performance you've put on and why?
Oh, that's a really lovely question. So my big New York City debut was in Dido and Aeneas, which is an opera. I know I said I didn't really do opera earlier, but it was an opera at City Center in New York City, and Kelly O'Hara starred in it. She had just literally days before, like 2 days before our performance, she finished King and I at Lincoln Center. So she was like doing that thing. I've loved her since I was a kid. Oh my God. She talked to me. I was like, Nathaniel, she's your colleague, not your idol anymore. Like, it's fine. You're literally billed on the same show together. Like, it's okay. Calmate. And then Vicky, my voice teacher, whom I love so much, was also in it. So like that was really important to me. But I think that my greatest last summer, I played the MC in Cabaret for the second time and got my equity card doing it. And like, I love Cabaret. I love that show so much. And I've done it 3 times now, and I've studied it. I think it's a really important piece of work. And I got to really come into my own as an actor and do whatever I wanted during that process and really like build it myself. And it was really fun. I loved it. And I got to practice being like myself in a crazy German accent on stage. It was great.
Okay, so if you could give advice to your younger self, what would you say?
I would tell him to calm down a little bit, that it's all going to be okay. But also, one time, you guys, you dancers are going to freak out. You musical theater people too, probably. But one time, I was at City Center in these big ballet studios, and I asked, we were doing chaîné turns across the floor, and this diagonal, I kid you not, was like half a football field. It was so far away. And I was like, I was ready to go. And I asked my older self for advice. I was like, dear older self, please help me with these chaîné turns because I know you're better at them than I am. And I chaînéed across the floor, and I was actually pretty good. And I saw someone standing in the doorway, and I'm like spotting, right? My head whipping back and forth. I'm like, that looks a lot like Sutton Foster. And I got to the end, and Sutton Foster is standing in the doorway. And I was like, hi, Sutton. I did not say that. I was like, And I did go up to her afterward and like very respectfully was like, hey, Miss Foster, like, I just want you to know, like, you are really inspiring to me, and you were very inspiring to me as a young person, and I really appreciate all the work that you've done and your performance. And she really liked that. She was like, that's really nice, and don't worry, you'll get those Sinead turns eventually. And I was like, inside, not on the outside, on the inside. So that's my Sinead turn story. Anyway.
Okay, so what musical do you aspire to be in?
Oh, I moved to New York City to be Fiyero in Wicked, like full stop. I have been in for him 2 or 3 times now, and was really excited about trying to like push that when I got off the cruise ship, since I had some better footage of me singing high. And then COVID. So I haven't had a chance to kind of go in for that yet. And we'll see, you guys. We'll see. Because this is the thing about Broadway, is that those shows, Wicked, Book of Mormon, Lion King, Chicago, those shows, Phantom of the Opera, have been around for so long that New Yorkers don't really go to those shows anymore. Tourists go to those shows. And so when there's no tourism industry, how do those shows make money? Because you have to sell tickets to be open. So it's actually really concerning, because there will be domestic tourism sooner rather than later, we hope, when those, maybe by the end of who knows, by the end of the summer. But international tourism is really important, like, because those are the people who buy tickets to those shows. So we'll see what happens to those things. Who knows? Maybe they'll release all the rights and you'll be able to do Wicked in high school. Like, we don't know, but we'll see. So yes, Fiyero and Wicked. I really want to be King George in Hamilton.
Yes, Hamilton.
That would be so sick. But also because like King George is like, I'm sure you guys can kind of tell by now, but like King George is like kind of me. So he's like a little crazy. So that would be really fun. I'd love to do that. But yeah.
So that was it for my list of questions. So now we're ready for Tamia Metcalf, a senior dance major, who will ask a few questions from the chat. Take it away, Tamia.
Hello.
Hey, girl.
Hey, I am gonna get some of these questions up from the chat. First one from Emily Lucas, and she said, how'd you get involved with performing on the ship?
Oh man, Emily, well, this is a great question, and it involves the French language. So AIDA has basically semi-annual, like twice a year auditions in New York. And they keep a roster of people. So once you get a job with them, you have a job for a long time. At least that's how it used to be. So I went to the singing call and they liked me, and they brought me back for the dance call and they liked me, and they brought me back for the singing call back. And hey, choir kids, you know how you hate sight reading? Just wait until you're in an audition and some casting director, music director says, how's your sight reading? And you go, let me at it. And I went over to the piano and I sight read this baritone song with some jazz thing. I just sight read it. It was fine. Not that hard. And it was a melody. It wasn't like a harmony part. And the casting director turns to me and goes, no, but can you sight read? And I said, I just did. I was like, yes, like we're doing that. So that was my moment of triumph. And then in the dance callback, you guys, this is the most Slytherin me thing that could possibly ever happen. The choreographer starts speaking French to one of the German guys who's the casting director. So I, being me, made some offhand comment about like, oh, c'est très difficile, oui, like within earshot of her, so that she knew I spoke French, because it was an international company and a cruise ship of German. So you don't have to speak German to get that job. Most people don't. But if they know that you speak another language and they know that you're good at like communicating with people from other cultures, you know.
Wow.
So, and then I got cast and they actually said, hey, we've cast you, but we don't have a contract for you yet. So just hang tight. And in July, I was doing that production of Cabaret, and I got an email that's like, here's your cruise ship contract. Come to Germany in January. And the rest is history. So there you go.
Wow, that's insane. That's cool though, how like you used, the different languages that you know to like get ahead. Like that was amazing.
I know, it's so sneaky, you guys, but I'll take whatever I can get, Like There was this one time where, you know, speaking of knowing your parts, like if you want to be Fiyero, you need to have both of his songs memorized and like ready to go. So I was in sort of an open call for Fiyero. And it was also, so basically one of the ways that you get those roles is what they actually needed was a high tenor for the ensemble. They needed somebody to sing. And then that tenor covers Fiyero. So when the dude playing Fiyero is out, his understudy goes on. And if his understudy is out, then you go on and the swing takes your track because everything is covered like with many levels of redundancy. And I sang my little high song for them at 10:30 in the morning, which was murder. It was so horrible. And I felt really bad about it. But then they were like, oh, you can do this. I was like, oh, yes, I can. Inside, not outside. And the music director was like, can you just sing these 6 notes? And it's the end of the opener where it's wicked, wicked, wicked. So it's G, 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 B flat. And I was like, 2 of those B flats at the end. I think it was a B flat, might have been a B. And I was like, here we go, bitches. And I just like belted it out. And like they had brought us in groups of 10 and the other 9 dudes are standing outside. And like, I'm sort of ashamed to say that I walked very tall out of that room because I was the only person who was asked to do that. And did they call me back? No. They picked some dude who was like 5'10", which is fine. But the notice specifically said 6 foot and above. But like, it is what it is, you know, get over it. One day. That was a very long tangent. Thank you for sticking with me on that.
Okay. And then for the second question we have, was it hard learning ballet in your later years of performing?
What's up, Henry? The answer is no. The idea that you can only start dancing when you're young is a myth. It is perpetrated by ballet schools and by people who want to keep ballet very elite. And like, if you don't start when you're 4 years old, are you going to be a principal dancer for ABT? Like, probably not. But like David Hallberg started when he was like 16, 14, 15, 16, and he was a principal dancer for ABT. And like, is it difficult? Yes. The reason why it's difficult is because when you're a kid, your body hasn't learned how to hold itself yet. You're still figuring that out. So a teacher can train you how to do that from the beginning. And when you're an adult, you have to relearn those patterns. So for example, like you guys can like start spotting this all around now when you're walking around, but like you're going to see a lot of people whose head is like tilted slightly to the side when they're walking or like this. And that's a way that their body holds itself. And in ballet, you would have to unlearn that. You would have to learn how to make everything stack on top of each other and turn that into a habit so that you didn't have to think about it anymore. And that's hard. That's really hard. But like, Consider that you are now, you know, the older you get, the better you are at learning things because you've learned more things. So you know how you learn better. So, you know, if you learn vocab words through flashcards, that's awesome for you. But maybe you don't. Maybe you learn vocab through reading it in a sentence over and over again. And once you claim what you're good at and how you learn it and discard the stuff that doesn't serve you, then it's better. Then you can learn things more quickly. So when you're older, you're like, okay, I know that I need to do 160,000 million tendus so that I can learn how to do this properly. And then you do it. And you just don't have any excuses because you know what you need. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad that he asked that question because for me, I know because I'm a dance major.
Nice.
And I didn't start until my freshman year. So when I joined HAPA, so like actually doing like having training and stuff was really new. And how you have to like train your muscles in your body to learn how to do everything. Like it's really, I'm just glad you like gave that perspective because like it gives me motivation to like try to continue and really, you know, put myself forward and like not get discouraged or anything. So
yeah, absolutely. And that's really important. And don't give up. If you love it, don't let anybody tell you can't do it. Those people, they don't know. They're just trying to pull you down. Do your thing. The world will be better. The world will be a much better place if you find out what you love and then become really amazing at it and then do it all the time. And then you'll be so happy. Think about how great that will be. And you'll make money. Haha. So, or not. Sometimes you don't make money doing what you love. It's okay. There's no rule that says it has to be one way or the other way. It's just whatever makes you happy and makes your life feel good and makes you feel fulfilled. And like, what's that line from Sister Act? Whoopi Goldberg says to the main character, she says, if you wake up in the morning and all you can think about is singing, then girl, you meant to be a singer. And like, don't let anybody take that away from you, because that is your deepest self, your highest self telling you, giving you a message, telling you what you should be doing. And listen to that. Don't listen to any of those crappy human beings. Listen to what your deep self has to say, because it's right.
Thanks for that. For the third question, we have Miss Odom. She said a lot of her students have a sense of intimidation of going to the right school, or even having a feeling of, or having a career in fine arts for other people beyond them. And she said, what would you say to them?
Well, you guys, when I was a senior in high school, when I was a senior in high school, my theater, I bombed a performance, a really important performance for a competition, a theater competition for International Thespian Convention in Denver. I bombed it. I literally forgot the words. I froze in front of everybody. It was like one of the saddest, most like difficult performing moments of my life. And my theater teacher said to me, maybe you're not meant to be a performer. Maybe you should do something else. And that hurt me so badly. And I was like, look at me now. And now, guess what, you guys? This same teacher has me back to that school to teach her kids, because I'm a professional actor now. So get over it. Like, it's just, it makes me so mad. Like, first of all, not anybody's greatest teaching moment, eh? But also, like, she said, do something else. And I was like, no. And I can't imagine doing anything other than performing. And with the right school, like, yeah, guys, I know it sucks and I know it's hard. And you guys spend so much time and energy, these test scores and getting these auditions ready to go, and like working so hard and hoping so hard to get into these schools. But you can only do the very best that you can. And then it's not up to you. And nobody knows what goes on in the minds of an admissions officer. And it's all kinds of crazy things you have no control over. Like, if I had been the same 6'3" white dude from like middle class Colorado, but if I had been from New York instead of Colorado, I probably wouldn't have gotten into Yale, because they want people from all over the country. And I was just a strong candidate. I was just in Colorado. That has nothing to do with me. That was like my parents moved us there. Like, that wasn't my choice, but it worked in my favor that time. So when it's about these schools, like, just go find what feels good to you and what feels right to you, and trust your intuition, and then have a great time. College is crazy, you guys. High school's insane, and you guys are all saints for making it through, because I know it's hard. But college is where you're like really independent, and like, if you want pizza and bowling at 3 a.m., you can go have pizza and go bowling at 3 a.m. And if you want to like sing musical theater songs in your dorm room until 5 a.m. with your friends, you can do that. Ain't nobody gonna stop you. I mean, like, you probably can't be too loud because you wake people up, and then the security will stop you. But that's the idea, you know? And so you're going to go to school, you're going to meet these amazing people from different places, and you're going to be like, oh, okay, cool. And then you'll get to like be in class and have some time to be independent of your parents and your family, and just see who you are, find out who you are. And that's really, really amazing. And you know what? I made a lot of mistakes in college, and parts of college were really painful. Like, I didn't come out until college. I didn't really feel like myself until like, I didn't turn into who I am now until my literal 5th year of college, because I took a gap year to sing and like travel. So I did year 1, year 2, year 3, gap year, year 5. And it was only then that I really started to feel like who I am now. It took forever. I was like 23. So you guys have lots of time. And there are things I wish I'd done differently, but they made me who I am. And I think you guys will really love it. So don't worry too much about the right school. And your parents are going to worry about the right school, and your teachers are going to worry about, and your guidance counselor is going to worry about the right school. Just do your best, turn it in, see what happens, and then find out and see. Yeah. And the career in the fine arts is not beyond you. Oh, that's people say that all the time. And I will tell you that during this pandemic, we have really seen the true colors of how people feel about the arts, because The arts are so underappreciated, you guys. All these people watching Netflix, being like, I love Netflix, but like, theaters, whatever. Or like, it doesn't matter. Film and TV like sets don't need to open. They're non-essential. Oh, please. You spend like hours a day in front of the boob tube. Like you have no idea how many people are employed by that industry. And so don't ever let anybody tell you that art is not essential, because that's some bullshit. And I don't have time for that crap. Like, what you guys do is very valuable, and what your teachers do is very valuable, and the world would be a much poorer place without it. So if this is what you want to do, go friggin' do it. Don't let anybody tell you no. That's what I have to say. I get off my soapbox now.
All right. And then for Miss Odom, she had I know she had like a few questions from her class.
Yeah.
So for the first one, it says, in your opinion, what is the hardest part about performing?
Being nice to yourself. Being okay with not being perfect all the time. Have you ever looked at a painting in an art museum and just been like, that's the most amazing painting I've ever seen? If you got the artist in front of that painting, I bet you dollars to donuts that artist would be like, flaw, 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 mistake, did that wrong, really wish I'd done that differently, this sucks, I hate that. And how would you feel as the person who loved that painting if the artists were that hard on themselves? You'd be really upset. You'd be like, well, I love it. So, like this is the like least, I'm just like, you guys, I'm sorry, I swear a lot. It is what it is. Welcome to life, I guess. It's like offensive to you as the viewer, as the person who's loving that art, when the artist is hard on themselves or is mad about how imperfect or thinks this should have been different, when that's actually your favorite part of the work. And so it's actually not up to you how people perceive your work. You just have to go make it. And one of the hardest things about it is feeling secure enough in yourself to go into that audition and be like, here's my box. This is what I got. If you like it, send me the contract. If you don't like it, I have somewhere else to be. Right. So it's always a struggle. And no artist I know is ever over it. Even like these really famous, wonderful people I know are just always like, that movie wasn't that good. That Broadway show was like not my best work. And you're just like, but I listen to that album when I'm sad. Like, it makes me cry and feel better. And that person's like, you know what I mean? So that's tough, but you got to get over it and got to get over yourself and just make your work and like keep improving, but not be so hard on yourself, because it's easy to be hard on yourself. Then one thing you've learned that you'll keep with you for your entire life. So do you guys know, have you ever heard the 7 habits? It's like kind of ancient by this point, but the 7 habits of highly effective people or highly effective teens or whatever. One of them is seek first to understand, then to be understood. That's number 6. And if you just listen to people first, you can go into a situation with a lot of anger and a lot of your own opinions. But if you listen to where other people, that's what we do as artists, right? We listen to the world around us and we synthesize it. We make it into something. We turn the invisible visible, right? So if you are with someone and you just listen to them, a lot of times you're going to hear their perspective and it's going to change what you think. And you'll be much more empathetic and understanding, because I know that you all are at your very base core heart wonderful, empathetic, understanding people, even if we don't always act that way, which none of us are perfect, right? But if you really seek first to understand other people, and then take a deep breath and then say what you need to say in the kindest, like not finger pointing way possible, then the other person will listen to you and you'll develop a better understanding of each other. And that's one of the reasons I love languages so much, because words mean different things in different languages. They have different connotations and denotations in other languages. And so it's fun to learn how different people communicate. But that's it's really important, and you'll really get far with a lot of people and have a nice full life if you can listen to other people well. Yeah.
All right. And then for the third one, she said, when did you decide that you wanted to do this for a living?
When I was 10. I was in my first, God, I said one time at the beginning of this that I'm like not into opera, and I've told 2 stories about opera now. I had one, this is 2. The very first role I ever had was I was 10 years old in A Mall and the Night Visitors, which is this 45-minute beautiful little operetta about like the three kings on their way to go visit Jesus around Christmas time. Around Christmas time, you know, that holiday about him. And I was a boy soprano and really enjoyed singing and had never done anything theatrical before. And the music director guy at my church was like, we're going to do this because we have two boy sopranos, you and this other kid, and we're going to do it because you can. And we want to use this opportunity. So we did it. And I was like, oh, this is what you feel. This is what it feels like to sing to a big space. This is what it feels like to have your voice fill the whole room, and what it feels like to have hundreds of people staring at you, which is my favorite thing. You should see me walk down the street in New York. And really enjoying the feeling of being present, being on stage, and doing what my body was built to do. So it's been really great. Also, Christian, I see your questions. I see them here. I'm going to answer them right now. So any bad weather before in New York? Yes, I have absolutely been in blizzards and quasi hurricanes and all kinds of crazy things in New York. And problems at school, everybody has problems at school, my dude. Like you're not alone, and everybody, it can be really tough, but it won't last forever. I promise. You'll get through it. I had another one I was going to answer real quick if I can see it. I do love to cook sweet potatoes. And I cook a lot of chicken. I've eaten a lot of chicken in my life because that's what you have to do to build muscle. So cool. All right. Next one.
So Miss Odom asks again, what is your favorite sweet potato recipe, and what are your biggest inspirations?
Sweet potatoes. Preheat your oven to 375. Write it down. This is delicious. 375. You cut off the ends of your sweet potato, poke some holes in it with a knife, wash it. Very nice. Put it on some aluminum foil on like a cookie sheet or like a pan, and you just let it sit there until your house smells like sugar, until it smells like caramel, because that is literally the sugar, the carbohydrates in the sweet potato transforming through fire and flame and heat into, like, you know, when people put marshmallows on sweet potatoes, which in my opinion is total sacrilege, because if you just put it in the oven, it will make its own marshmallowy stuff. And once they start to like, develop these nice little brown like bits around, then you take them out and you eat them, and they are so delicious. So enjoy that. That's for you. You can have that forever.
That sounds delicious, to be honest.
I saw your comment about this gallon of water. It is a half gallon. Thank you very much. And you must stay hydrated here in Colorado, and as a singer and as a dancer. So I will hear nothing against my water bottle. I love it, and it's mine forever. Actually, my strength coach says I have to drink a gallon of water a day, which you can imagine what that's like. Good thing the bathroom's down the hall. Who are your biggest inspirations? When I was a kid, guys, this is insane. When I was a kid, I was a sophomore in high school, and my friend comes up to me and she says, Nathaniel, you have to go listen to this musical. It's called The Light in the Piazza. It's in 10 pieces on YouTube. You're really going to love it because you're a nerd. I was like, fine. So I listened to it, and there was a woman. There were two women. Actually, that one wasn't Kelly O'Hara. It was the girl who then went right into Glinda right after that. Katie Rose Clark. She's amazing too. But the woman who played Margaret, who was the mother in that show, which is a very esoteric, like, not everybody loves that show, and that's totally fine. I love that show. I literally learned Italian so I could understand that show better. I'll never play Fabrizio. Well, that's probably not true. I just don't look very Italian. Anyway, I saw this woman play Margaret, and I was so moved by her performance that I thought, if I could do what that woman does, then I want to be an actor. So the first time was when I was 10. I was like, this could be fun. And then I saw her do that, and I was like, if I could do that, then I want to be an actor. Her name is Victoria Clark. Then I went to Yale. Then I found out that she also went to Yale. Then I found out she did annual master classes at Yale. Then when I was a junior, I finally got in, because the wait list the priority was to upperclassmen. So I finally got in after trying to get in. I sang for her, did a workshop with her, and she just turned my whole world upside down. She was like, just don't try so hard, dude. Just sing the song. Just let it be a tiny, soft little song. You don't have to impress anybody. Just sing it. Just be you and sing it. I sang the song. I don't even remember what the song was anymore. And it's probably something emotional. I like ballads. Who doesn't? And after the masterclass, I was like, Nathaniel, be brave, be brave, be brave, be brave. Just ask her. Just ask if she will be your voice teacher. Just ask. Because I wasn't getting that level of quality instruction on the tools. I was getting a lot of like general theater knowledge and history and like reading a lot. Like, yeah, I read a lot of Shakespeare and Chekhov. Woohoo. Because everybody produces Shakespeare and Chekhov. That's a way to make a living. I wish. So I asked her, I said, Vicky, will you be my voice teacher? She said, yeah, come to New York on the weekends and I'll teach you. And I was like, because this is the woman that like inspired me to be an actress. And now she's one of my best friends. We talk all the time. And she's been my teacher for what, 6-7 years now. I was in my first New York show with her. She's been my guide and my mentor. And I've like taken care of her dog, and I've been her assistant on shows she's directed. And I've like helped her with last minute understudy stuff when they like needed someone. She rang me and was like, come be an understudy right now and sing the soprano part. I was like, fine. And that was so meaningful for me. And it's pretty magical, honestly, but that's the kind of thing that happens in the world when you really follow something that you love. Is you'll find that the universe just like spits really amazing things at you I was like, I don't deserve this, but I do. Like she's been a wonderful teacher to me, and she hasn't been my voice teacher forever. I've moved on to some other people because you gotta stir the pot a little bit and learn new things from other people. But that's pretty magical, and I'm really grateful for her friendship and her mentoring of me. So yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Mm-hmm. So that was the last question that we had available. So I'm gonna give it back to Miss DT. And,
great.
That was great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Tamia. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute. I can't hear you.
There we go.
There we go.
This has been awesome. The comments in the chat, everybody's just loving everything you're giving us. They're laughing and
oh, good. I'm glad. That was the point, you guys.
Laughing, learning. Absolutely. I mean, this is awesome. I can't even believe the time passed so fast. Geez, I don't even want to end it. When someone in the chat said we could sit here all day and talk with you. This was just great. To kind of wrap it up, what is a final like mantra or saying you would leave our students with?
The very first thing, there were two things that beamed straight into my head. The first one is, don't be so hard on yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. It doesn't serve anyone. I know it feels like you're just trying to hold yourself to a high standard, but self-love is not being hard on yourself for those things. You have to hold yourself to a standard, but don't flagellate. Don't self-flagellate. It's not worth it. And also just make it easy. Make it easier. That's been the main thing that's transformed my singing and my dancing and my acting, is just make it be easy. It doesn't have to be so goddamn hard. If you just chill, because you know how to do it, you're fine. It's going to be okay. So just make it easier for the young guys who are trying to get to those high notes. It's just, you got to make it easy. You got to feel like it's the easiest thing in the world, because it is. Because when you are in your flow state and you're doing the thing that you're meant to do, it is easy. It is easy to sing stuff that you'd be like, that sounds hard. It's not, because trust me, if you got to perform 8 times a week, it's got to be easy for you. It's got to be something that you can do 8 times a week. So that's your metric. If you can't do it 8 times a week, you got to find a different way to do it. Dancers are a little bit different because you only have to do that variation like twice a week and get paid $1 billion. But if you're in musical theater and you're playing Tony in West Side Story, you're playing Elphaba, you'll be able to sing Defying Gravity 8 times a week. You're playing Dear Evan Hansen, or you're in Dear Evan Hansen, you'll be able to do it 8 times a week. So keep that in mind, because if it can't, when you're learning a new skill, yes, you get tired more easily. But once you've acquired it, if it's not super easy, it's too much. Too much.
Thank you so much. Love the advice. Everybody's saying in the chat, visit us again. Don't die. We would love to have another conversation.
Be great.
Yeah, I hate to even end this, but I know our next hour is approaching. So I want to, on behalf of HAPA and all the students, thank you so much for taking the time, the energy, in giving us your gifts and knowledge. We're so appreciative. So appreciative. This has been wonderful.
Thanks. It's been really great for me too, you guys. I love doing this. If you have questions that are just burning inside you that you didn't get answered, DM me on Instagram, okay? At Dolquist. That's just my last name. So just send them to me. I'll like keep an eye on my inbox the next couple of days in case they don't beam to the right place. But like if you have something you really wanted to ask, just let me know, okay? It's no problem.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. I know we got to get you guys, some of you got to get to your next hour. Thank you so much. And thank you, Nathaniel, again.
You guys are amazing. Hopefully I'll see you soon, and take care of yourselves, okay?
All right, everyone.